Welcome to another edition of the CivBattleRoyale. My name is Dawkinzz, and this is episode 36, Fallout, New Seabrix. War. The Pacific Ocean has been thrown into chaos as two of the largest players in this part of the world throw down over who has the bigger ship. And in the background, moves are made to take advantage of this time of war that would only come while one is truly distracted, and a weapon that was made long ago finally gets used in a way that allows for terror to truly reach all. Starting on turn 685, let's get right into this. Hello and welcome, friends and fellow observers of internet robot cockfights. My name is Brendan, also known as user Sir Brendan, on the subreddit and Discord. I've been with the BR since episode 13 of Mark 1 and have seen my fair share of Australia's domination of their island neighbors. This part will see many references, some analyzing, and plenty of dead civilians. So, with that said, let's go! For the OC highlight, I chose to put in the spotlight this amazing piece of honest reporting. Nowhere else on the cylinder can you find such an honest take on the news, and it's good to see in this far-off future year of the 4000s that someone still wishes to protect the eyes of our children by printing paper and not using holo broadcast. Varia yet again puts together a map for all of us to gawk at. Although I have to say there seems to be a mistake, and that's the fact that the Apache are smaller than they actually are. Oh well, they must be on the payroll of the Iroquois. And here is user Edzy1991's amazing tile-accurate map, and yet again I see another amazing artist being used to spread Iroquois propaganda. Shame, really. But aside from that, we see that the Chin and Australia make good-sized gains from their respective wars against the Kamugs and the Nazca, while the Goths gained some backwaters in Tibet. Yet again, those perfidious Iroquois stay in the top spot, over the rightful first place of the Apache. My case is that if you take away the facts that the Iroquois have a huge military, an amazing amount of production, having finished the tech tree, dwarf the Apache in both amount of cities and the amount of people, and their superior bite and hold strategy that has no opponent has been able to stave off at least, then it's obvious that the Apache are the clear number one. We open with an amazing first image and the two things I wish to point out on this slide. One, in what I can tell, Shikoku has used the first nuke of the game, and the place they have used it is the Haida capital of Ninstance. This means one thing to me, and that's Shikoku has total control of the skies between them and Ninstance, maybe even farther than that. Luckily for the Haida AI, all AI seems to prefer to use bombers against cities and not units, but unfortunately nukes damage units near the target. 2. Look at the absolutely huge population of Haina. While it may be dwarfed by Wellington's formerly huge pop of 134, which the Viking city of Hedeby is close to at 133 last we saw it, 115 isn't something to shake a stick at. In real-world population, that's 588,781,225 people in that city alone, which is bigger than the entire population of the United States, by far. Wonder what they're feeding people at this point. Azcapotzalco falls to yellow as the gigantic Haidan Navy punishes the Apache attack on their southern border. This hurts to see as an Apache fan, as if the city falls there won't be much in the nearby area to take it back with. In my opinion, this attack was ill-timed on the Apache's part, as there is no way the Apache can even hope to bring enough of a force for a good defense and a cohesive offense at the same time. Haidan forces fight to defend lands that have belonged to the Haida for thousands of years at this point, and for many of the fake soldiers, their homes. But while it's a valiant one, the cities are closer to the Shikoku core, and Haida is sitting at 109 techs and 3,791 hammers to Shikoku's 122 techs, and a whopping 9,244 hammers, and are thus doomed to fall in a short while. Haida tries to make a surge towards the Shikokuan home islands, but faces a more technologically strong fleet tasked with the job of stopping such a feat. But the Haida do have the numerical advantage with them, having sent 15 ships, and while they may be short of enough to capture a city, it does open a corridor of attack that they can focus on. The first North American Haida city falls, and to my shock, it's not a coastal one. In a war where the Haida's main weapon is their massive fleet, the loss of an inland city such as Karalik is a massive blow. For Shikoku, though, the gain of this city means easy reinforcement and allows for the Shikokuan army to join the battle and put pressure on every front that Haida has now. If the Haida want to regain the defensive momentum, they'll need to recapture this city ASAP. And here we see the root cause for this small part, the switching on of multiplayer quick combat. As a fan of digital bloodshed, I hope this doesn't cause problems for future installments. Well, it'll certainly affect the turn-by-turn. Sorry, guys. Skadan falls next to the forces of Kamchatka offensive by Shikoku, and while the city might be recaptured by the Haiden, the chances aren't great. But even if it is recaptured, the main focus of the next push will likely be the major city of Fuzhou, which will truly be the death blow to Haida power in East Asia if it falls to Shikoku. Azcapotzalco is now ready for capture and is luckily protected by a light fleet of peacekeepers, just as Geronimo begins to organize an army to defend the city from the Haida naval assault. Something that is concerning to this Apache fan is that the Haida have complete control of the seas over here, which will mean that the Apache are more than likely alone in this fight against the Haida than they realize. Because while Shikoku is more than fine fighting the Haida by themselves, the Apache aren't. Here we see the peaceful lands of central Shikoku, and we see that they have two huge cities. And these cities are actually safe from all forms of combat, it seems. This will be beneficial enough for their war effort, as their production centers should remain safe from any type of retribution from the Haida. A quick look at the Hawaiian theater shows that Shikoku is mopping up the very last bit of Haidan resistance, and are most likely on their way to begin an offensive against the California coast. The more of these fronts that get closed will only make things worse for the Haida, and better for the Apache to not lose their coastal cities. Hopefully. Look, I'm an Apache fan. I have to find lies for myself until Endgame shows up. And now we see just how strategic Karalik really is, as it's close to the former Yupik capital of Nuktak. That's my fiance. But also in this shot we see that Shikoku has been bombing Haida cities quite well as the remnants of the Haiden Air Force trying to desperately hold off their opposites flying Shikoku colors. Haida try to regain positive public opinion with their own citizens by taking Azcapotzalco, but they're taking it from the Apache. My own bias aside, this was a bad idea for the Haida. Geronimo wouldn't be able to fully take Saranac as long as Haida left a token force to guard it, and that fleet needs to be meeting Shikoku's at Hawaii and other locations in the Upper Pacific. Is Hawaii in the Upper Pacific? Fuzhou has fallen, all but truly securing Shikokan control of Kamchatka. While I hate to sound melodramatic, the more this goes on and the more cities Ryoma takes, the more likely this won't stop until the Haida are a rump on the same scale as the Yupik. But that's if I'm allowed to be melodramatic. Here we see the lesser of the three remaining South American civs, the Nazca. And we see them with their huge population situated in Kawachi, which is right next to the border with Uruguay. Off-screen, Maratha and Kazakhs declare war on the Chin. Also, Australia and the Kamags gang up on Tonga. Holy moly, this is huge news. Shikoku has also declared war on the Chin, thus creating a second front for themselves. I've gotten this info from Blue Cassette, so this is some trustworthy info. While this may seem like a bad idea in some regards, this may pay off for Ryoma. Let's keep in mind that the war against the Haida is mainly naval, with some efforts from the Shikokan Air Force, the SAF. But the army has had nothing to do, so if Shikoku can use their air force to the same devastating level as they have against the Haida again, they could take some land from the Chin, who are just recovering from their war with the Kamags. This may be a bet that I'd take to Vegas and make it in Shikoku's favor. Down south, we see the benefit of having a large and strong air force, as all 3, possibly 4, Qin cities fully visible in this image are sitting at 0 health, and just waiting to flip to gray and white. In all honesty, this will be the weakest part of Shikoku's assault on the Qin, as if they don't flip these cities in a turn or two after this, they won't be able to keep the city they have here. Even on the naval front, it will take time to grind down the Qin units on the sea, and will buy the Qin much needed and crucial time. Also on this turn, the Qin and Prussia declare war on the Haida. Zimbabwe and New Zealand make peace, and in a very important peace deal, Prussia and Venice end their fighting. It seems to me that Prussia has kept everything, and that amazing Prussian defensive standard has been upheld. The Iroquois have finally kicked the Vikings out of Greenland by taking Västerås, and from what info I've been given, that this was the last flip in the war, as both of the combatants have signed a peace treaty. This war has just been devastating to the Vikings, as they have lost a lot of units, their cities in Greenland, as well as seen flips in the British Isles. This war may very well be showing of what will happen when the Sami declare war against the Vikings. I thought they were, as good defense doesn't matter when the enemy isn't afraid of losing thousands of soldiers to accomplish one goal. Haida has used what it can to recapture Fuzhou, decimating its population and somewhat strategically ruining the city for Shikoku. While good in my opinion, this will only buy Haida a few more moments, as the city and its northern neighbor are only moments away from falling. But we should commend Koya on his strategic move, as it does buy him a bit more time. And we see more of the effect that the SAF has had on the nearby cities, as Nanjing and Hangzhou are both bombed into the black, and all that it will take is a melee ship to just get in and take it for the Qin to be wrecked here. These cities were safe from the Qin-Kamog War and are thus crucial to the Qin war effort, so these cannot fall if the Qin hope to win this war. But what I expect to see is what happened the last time Shikoku declared war on the Qin, which is these cities flip non-stop, but they will ultimately be safe from the Shikokan army. Here we see that the Vikings are back to trying to restore their rule on the island of Onchan, and do so by bringing a longship in to remind the citizens that they are more Viking than they are Manx. Kinda crazy to see a ship that old still out and about. In other news, the Iroquois, Palmyra, and Uruguay declare war on the Haida. This means that rogue units like the paratroopers seen on screen here are doomed to die a horrible death, but also that international pressure is strong against the Haida. This could bring the Métis in on the fun, and maybe even the Yupik if war seems advantageous. In the shocking turn of events for the citizens of Kochi, the city has been nuked. While I don't have any official info on who sent the missile out, my guess would be the Qin. This will hamper the Shikokan war effort, but it will only open up on use of such weapons against the Qin. For those that love watching nukes being dropped are probably loving this part so far, and it will probably only get spicier as the part goes on. In the background, Nazca and Selknam make peace, while Beta Israel, Toungoo, and India join the international coalition against Haida. Is this the pink containment plan? On a front that I didn't even realize existed or mattered, the Kazakhs actually gained a city. Up in the frigid north, Ablai Khan has gained the city of Nadim for the simple cost of maybe being nuked down south. But that's a maybe, and this is for sure, and that's a bet anyone would take. Shikoku, while taking heavy hits on their capital, are close to seeing a huge payoff in Alaska, as Kasagluk, Tanu, and Niltak are primed to fall to the gray and white. While not huge or overly helpful cities for the Haida, they need every city to last as long as they can so they can use the overly nuky Qin to start grinding down Shikoku. Here we see a massive Shikokuan fleet that was used to take the single island of Cha'atal. Why this fleet hasn't moved west or eastward to help in the fight boggles my mind, but when asked, the fleet PR advisor said that the admiral and high-ranking officers had, quote, gone fishing. What this means in real terms, though, is that the southern Haida fleet will sit useless, and the Qin may have a shot at holding their coasts. We move back to the Alaskan front as Shikoku moves ever closer to taking this vital part of the Haiden Imperial Confederation. What with melee units being stationed outside of Ikishu, Kamshiwa, and Nugtak. Also of note is Shikoku, and they have taken control of Karalik, my balls, as my fiancé says. This is important as this allows them to begin pumping out units over here, or begin creating airports, or the Future Worlds version, to move units about quickly. In a stunning turn of events, the Qin have pushed out and taken Pyongyang and may even take Shikoku's mainland city. I now retract my previous statement saying that Shikoku may have a good shot at this fight, as they obviously are losing control of this front. In even more shocking and bizarre news, Kochi is now down to 3 population. The amount of nuclear weapons sent at the Shikokuan capital is probably a small amount in comparison to what's left, but it shows that if you do go to war, make sure your core is safe, or at least have a bomb shelter. If this was a real-world scenario, the central government probably moved over to Nakamura or Tosashimizu to escape the carnage. So all the extra bombs have done nothing but kill innocent civilians. The Haida have committed the ultimate sin, as they have given a forward operating base to the Iroquois, and at a very strategic flank on the Apache. Damn you, Koya, and your failure to defend effectively. In all seriousness, this just goes to show just how powerful the XCOM unit is, and just how powerful the Iroquois have become, and are understandably deserving of their continuous first spot in the power rankings. And here we see another thing to be envious of the Iroquois for. Their leader has basically Jeff Bezos levels of stupid wealth at his disposal. 2 other notable items about this list is that the leader of Shikoku, Ryoma, is on here. All that money would be more useful buying up units to help take on the Qin, my guy. Also the fact that world juggernaut and basically Snorlax cosplayer Uruguay isn't in this top 8, which is quite shocking given that they've been a major player since the very beginning. One last thing on this slide I want everyone to look at is the background of this image, in which we see that Shikoku has taken the 3 islands of Kayug, Atawas, and Imangak. This will just give Shikoku even more control of the Pacific, but this likely won't mean much in the long term. I may have no confirmation, but it looks like Shikoku may have peaced out with the Haida, based solely on the fact that Shikoku was allowing Haida cities to be in the yellow, and also the fact that there are no Shikokuan units violating Haiden waters. This is huge, as this allows for Shikoku to focus all of its effort on the failing Western Front. If this is peace, then that means that Shikoku has effectively proved itself against a legitimate neighbor, not one who was always far weaker than themselves. While the Haida may now have their biggest front shutting down, they still have to deal with other major powers like Tongu, the Apache, and Uruguay, and of course the Iroquois, what with their peacekeepers and bombers. As we can already see, the Haida are mounting an attack to regain the city of Azcapotzalco. I said it correct before, give me a break. But this may be futile, as it could be flipping as long as the Iroquois has an XCOM ready to flip the city, or Apache can get through. So while Koya may have made a major diplomatic move, they still have a while to go before they are back in the clear. Here we see the true damage that the Qin have caused to the Shikokuan core, as Kochi has only gained 1 pop since we last saw it, and we see that who needs super ships when you can just spam hover tanks. It seems that the Shikokuan Navy has been struggling holding back the hover horde. Let this be reason number 1 why you don't declare a war on 2 fronts, kids. Just this example and not Napoleon or Wilhelm or Hitler. Ba-Arin is completely cut off from the rest of Shikoku, showing just how devastated the army has become when facing the overwhelming numbers that the Qin have. We also get a good shot of the Qin core and really see just how badly Shikoku fucked up by not focusing on the Qin or declaring war against the Qin about a part ago. And since I told you all about the Aussie declaration of war on Tonga, they have been captured and has begun being integrated into the glorious Big Green. Eulogy time. Tonga has been the source of much of the sub's entertainment since the beginning of the BR. On one occasion, facing off against the rising power of Oceania at the time in New Zealand and winning, or building a military strong enough that it threatened any of its neighbors if timed properly, or their clocks that only had Tonga time as the hand positions on it. But whatever the case, their death did not come from New Zealand, who may thought would cause it, but by a resurgent Australia. May Tonga fans find a new and deserving home in New Zealand, who may as well be just as doomed when the endgame comes around. F. New Zealand at this point has relinquished themselves to just breeding their population till endgame comes, hoping that their huge population centers will be enough to not draw the ire of their old rivals. It's weird to think that not long ago New Zealand was the preeminent power of Oceania, using clever moves and a thick navy to decimate and ruin all of their potential enemies. Now all they can think of is how are they going to add yet more buildings on a small and cramped island. Here are the basic demographics, showing that the Iroquois are the dominant force in most categories and that the Sami have over 2 billion people in the frigid north of our planet. I guess reindeers and cookies are the secret to vitality we were all looking for. Now let's look at how popular Koya is. Well, what I can tell is he is the talk of the town, just not in the way most people want. The Haida are still at war with 13 civs, although one of them doesn't have any cities, so they really don't count. But given how it's better to hate Koya than it is to be his friend, I'm expecting the Métis to declare war on them at any point. Here we see that the people hate having all of the power and have started revolting against the idea of fair and equal treatment under their people's leaders, and have chosen to embrace the benefits of a fascist dictatorship, such as nightly curfews, dedication to the state, and the compulsory service to the military. Wait, they were already doing that anyways, so I guess they just want better colors than yellow and red. We finally get an update to religion. As far as I can tell, it's been a hot minute since there has been any. It's nice to see that the Yupik's awful religion has the most cities and followers. Nice to see that people like a religion that only a select chosen few can even pronounce quickly and easily. And we see the little guys of the religions on the cylinder. At this point, following Sunni is probably a modern equivalent of being a follower of the Greek pantheon in our day and age. I'm a follower of Athena, but what about you guys? And we end this part with the religion map, showing that the only remnant of the Murray is the religion they gave Australia, and that Prussia is dominating on the religion front. This part saw the first nukes being used, saw the ruination of the Haida, and the possible crippling of Shikoku, and the death of a meme. With such an eventful part, I say au revoir, and this is Sir Brendan signing off. And my name is Dawkinzz. This has been a wonderful part, as Sir Brendan said, nukes, and finally, it was Tonga time. Just not what we wanted exactly. I appreciate you all being here. Thanks for stopping by. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, or yeah, do any of that. I really appreciate that. We're very excited. We are approaching the end game, although I don't think I have spoken about this on YouTube. It's been on the sub, it's been on the Discord, but I think that I haven't spoken about it. So just to give a quick recap, the end game is what's coming up. So we reached a point in the game where it just stops functioning. The oceans become far too cluttered with units, and it's terrible, and nothing moves, and there's a stalemate at some point, and I won't tell you when. But at some point we have... Ooh, careful. At some point, we do what's called the end game, in which we take all of the remaining civs and we put them on the map, and we provide bonuses depending on how well they performed in this game. So it's going to be action-packed. We're getting very excited for it, and we hope you join us because it's going to be coming up probably sooner rather than later. But until then, we'll see you next time.